What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. Okay, time for a little mailbag time. At John Middlekauff is the Instagram. Fire in those DMs. Get your questions answered here on the show. Fire in those DMs. Very, very easy. Instagram DMs wide open. 2 F's, just my name, at John Middlekauff. We will start with Jamie. Been listening for a while. Big fan. Appreciate you. Here's his question. Am I the only one who's skeptical of Dan Campbell this upcoming season in the Lions? Campbell is a first-time head coach who led an awful squad before promoting Ben Johnson. I get it. He gets guys to run through a brick wall. But as a Raider fan, I saw a similar type of coach with Antonio Pierce completely fail. They have the talent on the roster, but feel like Campbell hasn't quite proven himself yet, and it's mostly Ben Johnson's offense that carried them to success. You can even say Campbell was a big part of them blowing the NFC Championship game a couple years back and some questionable decisions in the second half. What are your thoughts? It's a good question. I think the talent on their roster is so immense relative to the rest of the league. I think when healthy, they are the only team in the NFC that's better than them, guy for guy, especially their starting unit would be the Eagles. So to me, they have question marks with 2 new coordinators, but the Eagles have a new offensive coordinator. I would say, I know Sirianni has won the Super Bowl, but I would take Dan Campbell over Nick Sirianni. And that's not a shot at Nick Sirianni. I think Dan Campbell, I said this to Colin, I think he's the third Harbaugh brother. I think he's excellent at what he does. And there was a clip that went viral of when they played the Packers in the quarterback show. And they had so many injuries. They had me and you playing on defense. And he approached the team meeting like, we're going to play this game strictly on offense. And Dan Campbell, at his core, is an old-school football guy. Came up with Bill Parcells. And he has changed his tune to like be a modern-day football coach. He's like, we're going to win this thing on offense. We're going to go for it every single time. And we don't think we can stop anybody. They couldn't. And we're going to try to score relentlessly. And it worked. Now, the NFC Championship game, he shouldn't have been that aggressive. I totally agree. But that's an organizational philosophy of going forward on fourth down. John Harbaugh does that. I don't always agree with it, but a lot of teams do that nowadays because analytically it says to do it. I think Dan Campbell's pretty good. And to me, if they win 12, 13 games with new coordinators, I think he will have proven himself as one of the best CEO head coaches in the league. Now, you got to do it. New defensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator. Like you said, Ben Johnson's a huge part of their success. So we will see how it goes. I forget. I don't have it in front of me, but whoever he elevated or hired, I think used to be a Sean Payton guy. I mean, that's, Dan Campbell's a Sean Payton guy. I think they're going to be good. I do. I'd be stunned. Now, a disappointing year for them would be like 10 wins, right? I don't think, unless they had another rash of injuries, it's even possible for them to win like 6 or 7 games. I wanted to know from a West Coast perspective about Auburn football. I have grown up an Auburn fan, being from Birmingham, Alabama. We have went downhill since firing Gus Malzahn. It's like we have been cursed. Freeze has recruited well, but the wins have not shown. We currently sit 84th in recruiting right now. What are your thoughts on Freeze, and what record does he need to stick around? I don't follow the daily SEC stuff clearly as close as you, but it became a big enough story where Hugh Freeze over the last couple months is getting shit on for playing too much golf. And what I love about college football, specifically the SEC, and I would say Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan are like this as well, Oregon, USC, is the following of the football fan, the information they have. The way they realized Hugh Freeze was playing a lot of golf is because they looked at his Gin handicap and how many times he's posting scores. Now, ultimately, recruiting is not about sitting in with mom and dad at the kitchen table anymore. Like, is Auburn paying the amount of money necessary to recruit? I do think buyouts are more difficult. If your buyout now is $20, $30, $40 million, well, I'm paying the kids. So, to pay the players, to pay a buyout, and then buy a new coach, and Auburn would want, a big time coach, a Deion Sanders type who's going to be really expensive. It might not make sense. So he might be saved by the economics of the sport. I would say you're in a tough predicament, especially the last 15 years with Nick. Now you could argue with DeBoer coming in, the NIL landscape, you guys should have a better opportunity. But when I think Auburn football, I mean, Cam Newton's kind of an outlier, right? You remove that spot. Obviously, you guys play Alabama typically pretty well and have a really good chance 2 years ago to beat them if it wasn't for the Jalen Milroe pass. I do think it's hard being in their shadow. And I think sometimes in any industry, when you are in someone else's shadow that is just more important and bigger than you, even if you are relatively important too, like you've had really good teams, you've won a national championship. Recently, you've been to another one. But yeah, I just think it's really, really hard being in the shadow of Alabama. Now, if they fall off a cliff, maybe you guys can move forward. But the other thing with the SEC is like Texas is now there. They're going to take up a lot of oxygen. A&M is going to spend so much money. Georgia with Kirby's going nowhere. LSU underachieves at 8-9 wins. So even if Bama has a shitty season, they're still winning 8-9 games. You're just in a weird spot. I'll never forget when someone told me this years ago, who lives also in Alabama, who was around Saban's program forever, and is just an SEC guy. He says the thing about this league, and this guy's longtime NFL personnel man too. He's like, there's nothing like the negative momentum in college in the SEC. And we had a mutual friend, Jim McElwain, who was the coach of Florida. And he was actually not terrible at Florida, right? They were in the SEC championship game a couple times. Now, granted, the SEC East at the time was shittier, but it's not like Jim McElwain was winning 4 games. He just wasn't Urban Meyer. So the negative momentum was already strong. Then that fake shark picture came out, and he was dead. There's no way he could fight off the negative buzz coming at him. And that's a little bit what it feels like with Hugh Freeze. If he goes 7-5, it's just people are going to hate him. And they're going to start, I would say, picking apart everything he does, which they're doing now. Like, how many golf rounds are you playing? Lane Kiffin said it today at the SEC Media Days because they're like, you were messing with him with an Instagram post. He's like, it's a dead period. I was on a fishing boat. I was joking. He's like, it's not that serious. But in the SEC, it is that serious. God, I'm fired up. The British Open is here. The biggest names in golf teeing it up across the pond to chase history. The game's original major. Want to make some cash while watching people play golf? You can by betting on the action at Royal Portrush with DraftKings Sportsbook. From the opening round through Championship Sunday, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with live betting, player props, and so much more. If you've never bet on golf before, it's easier than you think. Just pick something simple like a golfer to win the tournament. Rory McIlroy. Can he win his second major of the year? This is where he grew up. Last time it did not go well. He missed the cut. I do think Rory's going to be a major factor. John Rahm playing really well. Scotty Scheffler. Can he finally break through? You can also bet top 10s, top 20s, parlay them together. Does not get any easier. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code JOHN. That's code JOHN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. On Jeff Teague's podcast, I think it was Pat Beverly. I'm not sure, not a big NBA guy, to be honest. There was a discussion about a player who has made $170 million in his career. And the question was, would you give up $50 million for a ring? This actually was Gilbert Arenas' podcast. I don't think the player has any rings, so he's not going to go from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, etc. But my question is, would you? How different would an athlete worth $120 million live from an athlete worth $170 million? $50 million is a lot, but for me, the worst thing in sports is players who put money in front of success. I love seeing players get their bag, but once you've made your money, surely you take less. I think I talked about this on a recent podcast. It was Gilbert Arenas. And I agreed with Gilbert Arenas. Like, is a ring changing the guy's life? I don't know. Now, you could argue, would he give up $120 million to have led the Warriors or the Wizards to an NBA title? Would he have been more legendary? Would his podcast business do more than he's doing now? And he laughed. He's like, I wouldn't give up $50 million for that. And my first reaction was, I wouldn't either. Now, would I give up $50 million to have like Julian Edelman's career over like Calvin Johnson's career? Yeah, I would. And I think Edelman is going to profit for that for the next 40 years. Like, would I give up $50 million to have Draymond Green's career over a guy that makes them all-star teams who doesn't win a ring and makes more money? 100%. You'd rather be the champion. You can have lucrative endeavors off of that. So I think it depends on the specific example. But in Gilbert Arenas' example, I would not give up the $50 million. And to me, are you a one-off champion? It's one thing if you're the quarterback, but even if you're the like Tracy McGrady, would Tracy McGrady give up $50 million to have won an NBA championship? I bet his answer would be the same as Gilbert Arenas', and it'd be no. So I think when you're talking multiple championships, like, yeah, you'd rather be Ronnie Lott or Jerry Rice or, Devin McCourty or Teddy Bruschi. Like, yeah, it's worth a lot. But just one win, I don't know. I don't think I'd give up that. I mean, you're talking a lot of money. $50 million is a lot of money. If we're talking like $5 million, if we're talking that we've made that much money, yeah. I mean, I think you can convince me. When you're talking that much money, I remember Kevin Durant, when he first signed a contract extension with the Warriors, it's like he gave them a discount. And the number was like, I forget it off my top of my head, but instead of signing for like 29 million, he signed for like 27.8. It's like, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, maybe he gave them a little flexibility, but come on. He didn't have to do it. So if you want to give him credit for that, it's not changing his life at all. Question for the pod. I'm curious, with you being a successful podcaster, I like this guy, and your wife successful in real estate, she likes you too, I'm sure. How do you and your wife handle finances? Do y'all combine finances or keep them separate? Do you have to check with her before buying anything golf related or going on a golf trip? Or is what you do with your money all up to you? That's a pretty good question. I would say I don't have to shoot her a text before I buy a golf club or golf balls. Uh, I don't know how everyone does it. I know some people that they have kids and their wife doesn't work. I know people where their wife is the breadwinner, and actually they're my friends, the guys. So you never ask them, like, does she give you an allowance? Everything is different for every person. Uh, we don't by any means have an Excel spreadsheet. We don't technically like share financing, I guess. I mean, the house we're living in right now, I bought, and then we remodeled. I paid for. I pay the mortgage, but like she has a separate property that I have nothing to do with. She has money that I don't. She can just buy whatever she wants. Same thing for me. She buys groceries and does certain things that I don't even think about. And then there are things, with the house that she doesn't think about. And obviously, it's going to change when we have a kid. Like the other day, there was a stroller on sale. I don't even want to say out loud how much the stroller was, but I guess it's the going rate for strollers. That's also a car seat. I mean, it's insane. Was on sale for like 30% off. And I just handed her my credit card. Uh, I think we're going to get her a new car coming up. I am sure we will. I don't know. I don't know. We just haven't. There aren't really any financial. We haven't really had any issues in terms of like who pays for that, who pays for what. Um, Pretty seamless transition. We don't have any shared credit cards or shared bank accounts as of right now. Again, maybe that changes as we have children, as our lives change. But I just try to pay for as much as I can, and she contributes, and we just live our life. It's actually been. I mean, I've heard some horror stories with friends, but it's been a really, I don't know, seamless transition. And, sometimes when you're young, and a lot of you guys that have been married or serious relationships in your 20s, when you start dating and you like have nothing, right? And that's what would happen to most people if you start dating in college or dating fresh, your first job. It's not like you have that much, especially tangible assets. When we started dating, I was 35. She was, or I was 35. I guess I was 7 years older. I was 37. She was 30. Like, she had a career that was crushing, making way more money when I was 30. And obviously my career was going pretty well at the time too. So from a financial issue or aspect, we don't even really talk about it. It just kind of happens. One major difference I've noticed though is, like, if I'm going to go pick up food or ordering DoorDash, I would DoorDash when I lived by myself. I would eat Chipotle or meals like that. I don't know, 5 nights a week. And that's now when you do eat out, you pay for two. The plane tickets, because we both have family in Northern California. Instead of just buying one, you buy two round trips. That's a little bit of a game changer. But you just kind of become numb to it after a while. And then you got a kid coming, you eventually pay for them. Part of growing up, part of growing up. Yeah, but pretty easily transitioned for us so far. No issues, which is nice. What are your thoughts on Florida? Since Billy has taken over, we went 6-7, 5-7, and 8-5. Given the schedule we faced with DJ Lagway won every single game he started with a bad hamstring, and we would have beaten Georgia if he wasn't hurt. Do you think we can win 10 games? If you look at the personnel we have, our most talented roster on paper since Billy took over, and it make or break year for Billy, 9 or 10 wins, or it's a fireable offense. It sure looked like he was done early in the season. I thought by the end of the year, you guys were playing like a top 10 team. I remember watching the last couple games of the season thinking, like, this team looks fantastic from a physicality standpoint, to just like a chemistry standpoint. And I remember watching a couple of your guys' big wins, watching Billy Napier after the game. And he's like, it's really cool to watch these guys come together. Like, you guys were a team. If you would have gotten to the playoffs, like, I would have liked you more than Tennessee going into the playoff game. Uh, Obviously, there's a ton of hype. This coach is coaching for his job. People really, really like in the scouting community and my friends. I know a couple agents. Like, I just know a lot of people in the football world in the SEC that like Billy Napier. People are rooting for Billy Napier. And he's a guy, if he's able to win 9 or 10 games, usually that negative momentum in the South just kills you. And it just gets you like a tidal wave. And if he's able to win 10 games, make a playoff spot, that would be an incredible accomplishment. That he was able to fend off like the Matrix, the SEC Grim Reaper. Can I tell you about my friends at Mando? Here's the thing. Summer is upon us. Where I live, I think it's 110 degrees today. And I'm a sweater. And I don't like smelling. So the key with Mando and their deodorant, it has sweat control. So not only does it block the odor all day, but it controls my sweat. I don't like to just be soaked if I'm just walking outside to grab something out of my car. And here's the thing. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. So all the products, they're baking soda free, and you can choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji is the one I use, or just the go-to Pro Sport. Want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula right now? You can find them in Walmart, Target, and other retailers around the country. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid starter deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like Mini Mando body wash or deodorant wipes, love those, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use the code JOHN, that's JOHN, at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. shopmando.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered. Protect your pits, baby. Smell great doing it. This is my second time attempting to get my question read. I would love a chance to open this can of worms discussion about the disrespect of Dak Prescott. Your takes are amazing overall, and you're extremely informative. But when it comes to Dak, you and Colin and everyone at FS1 constantly puts him in a lower tier than his play and sheer numbers demand. He should have won the MVP over Lamar 2 years ago. His stats were just that much better. I'll give you he's coming off a weird season with an injury, and of course, he hasn't given us a Super Bowl yet, but neither has Lamar or Josh or plenty of others. Guys, he hasn't even got you to the championship game. You guys had hosted 2 home playoff games before last year in 3 years. You lost them both to the Packers and the 49ers. 2 home playoff games. You lost them both. And you played like shit. Turnovers. I'm not a Josh hate or Dak hater, but like the criticism in the playoffs, I mean, Lamar gets highly criticized, and Dak is way worse in that run when Dan Quinn was the DC and McCarthy was the head coach. I thought the one year they lost the Niners in San Francisco, so it would have been the second round, who they beat. They beat Tampa in the first round, and Dak had the best game of his career. You guys had a Super Bowl level defense, and Dak didn't play well in that game either. So it's like he's been a really good regular season game player, and I agree with you. Lamar 2 years ago when he won the MVP, it's one of the worst MVP seasons of all time. And I'm not even just blaming him. I'm saying whoever would have won it. If Dak would have won it, fine. But then Dak didn't play well in the playoffs. So it's like you got to play well in the playoffs. Yeah, he's fine. I got no problem. I think he's a top 12 quarterback who is really, really underachieved in January, which by far is the most important time of year, right? We all agree there. I'm curious. Are you a boxing fan? Who do you have in Canelo Crawford fight? I'm not really. But I'm a FOMO guy. So if you tell me Mike Tyson's fighting Jake Paul, if Pacquiao's fighting Mayweather, if Mike Tyson's fighting Holyfield, I'm in. If the event gets big enough and can cross through just the niche of, the fight world, I'm in. If it doesn't, like I typically not. It's not because I enjoy watching boxing. I'll never forget in college watching that Pacquiao Mayweather fight, thinking like, this sucks. Part of it is Floyd just kind of dancing around because he's so good. You can't hit him. But I miss heavyweights. I mean, you grow up in the 90s, Tyson, Lennox Lewis, Holyfield, some of just the shit show that were those fights. It just feels like not the same. But I have no take on Canelo Crawford. I mean, I know it's going on. I think is Max Kellerman calling the fight, but I don't have like an opinion or take because I don't watch. Cowboy fan, do you think the new coach, it'll be another repeat of McCarthy and Garrett with Dak? A 3-4 season run where they'll win anywhere between 9 to 11 games, maybe make the playoffs a couple times, and lose in round 1. I'm a big Dak guy. Love the Cowboys. And I'm not sure the entire shift in philosophy is exactly they need to do, but it feels like they are just trying to continue getting over the hump by doing it the Cowboy way. And that just smells of similar results. Defense got crushed by the run last year, and we go out and draft more offense. Feels like it's going to be another year of getting gashed in the run game. I recorded a podcast with Colin on Monday, and the Lakers kind of came up. And I think the Steelers, the Lakers sold, but I mean, what they were under the Buss family once Dr. Buss died, what the Steelers have become under this version of the Rooneys, what the Cowboys have become with Jerry. I think it's really, really hard when you have this like brand name of a family and they've been doing it forever, and their highs are so far in the past, and they're kind of riding off what used to be. And sometimes you just need some new blood in there. And in fairness to the Lakers, I mean, they hired outside people in Rob Pelinka, but the reason he got hired was he was Kobe Bryant's agent, right? I mean, Jerry's the guy making all the decisions, right? At the end of the day, Omar Khan, like, the Rooneys are telling him what to do. Tomlin has some juice, but Tomlin's been there for almost 2 decades now. And I think sometimes when, look at how many different people Howie has employed over 15 years. They churn their front office and coaching staff like a NFL roster. That is not the way the Cowboys, the Steelers, and the Lakers, like, it's like the same people doing it over and over and over again. And sometimes that works, but sometimes you do need some fresh blood, some new perspective, some just different experiences coming in. And listen, you could convince me the Cowboys win 10 games this year. You can convince me they win 6. I think it's all on the table. I liked them last year. Obviously got burned, but I don't even know. Probably pick them to finish 3rd in that division. If you tell me they went 9-8 and were the 7 seed, believable. If you tell me they win 7-10 and pretty average, very believable as well. I think it's all on the table. My question is, do you think the Steelers have a chance to actually make a run? I've been a Steeler fan for 13 years, and all I've seen is letdown after letdown. I want them to win, but I'm worried we won't be explosive enough on offense. Second part question, do you think the Steelers are in trouble this upcoming season? I would say when you look at the history in sports in general of guys over 40, it usually ends pretty ugly. For the most part, sports, and specifically football, does not end with the owner handing the trophy to John Elway. This one's for John. Or even Peyton Manning's last season on the dais with Jim Nantz winning the Super Bowl. It usually ends with like, my arm doesn't really work. I'm injured. I'm Tom Brady. Our team's not that good. Just kind of an ugly, weird ending. Worst case scenario, it's like Tony Romo. You're laying there on the ground with a bad back. And if you told me the best case scenario for the Steelers, what's best case scenario? Did Rodgers play 17 games? Did the defense stays healthy and they win like 11 games? And they're pretty damn good. They're not the upper echelon, but they're pretty damn good. Like, they're a legit team. That feels on the pie chart of possibilities like less than 25%. And the more and more I think about it, just based on my life of 30 plus years now watching sports, this falls for baseball and basketball as well. Like, if LeBron James just keeps on playing, eventually he's going to have a major injury. Because that's just kind of the way it works. Wear and tear. I don't care how hard you train. Happened to Kobe. Happened to Steph Curry. It would happen to anybody. And I think, what's the likelihood of Aaron Rodgers not getting injured? He doesn't move like he used to, but he does like to move. And he already had a serious injury a couple years ago. And again, it could be as simple as like someone falls into his knee weird and he just sprains his, a knee or an ankle. And all of a sudden, where he used to might miss 7 days, he misses 21. And if he misses several games, and let's say he's not even playing that well, you could lose a bunch of games. The other thing is the way they built this thing, there's just tangible pressure. You trade for DK. The TJ thing is kind of now or never. The Tomlin thing, it's like, are we going to shit or get off the pot? It's kind of weird. The Ravens and the Bills, let alone the Chiefs, are just kind of rolling. It feels like they're, I don't want to say quite a ticking time bomb, but I do think there's a scenario where a couple injuries happen and they win. They're just not good. They would never be terrible. But like, what if I told you right now, Rodgers missed a month? They could lose every game Mason Rudolph started. Every single game. And we saw Rodgers last year. Like, it's not like the Jets don't have bad, like, they got some good players. Lost a lot of tight games. Now, you could make the argument he's going to be a year off the injury. Maybe he's much more vibrant and much quicker. Maybe, but he's not 30. He's 41. I go back and forth. I'm like, are you just going to pick them to win 10 or 11 games? Or like, is this the year they win 7? And it's like a weird, ugly 7. Like, I do think that's on the table. Any thoughts on WVU, West Virginia? Take me home. Bringing back Rich Rodriguez. I saw some clip the other day. I think they beat, because it was like a throwback to Pat White. And who was the running back? Was Steve Slayton? Was that the running back? I think they played Georgia. It was either the first game of the year or a bowl game. And they won. And it was like they were really humming there. And remember, he was turning down jobs. I think he turned down the Alabama job. The year Saban got it, he ended up going to Michigan. My year scouting the West Coast, he was the Arizona head coach. I liked him. I remember BSing with him. Pat McAfee obviously loves him. I think they're going to be at a disadvantage to the landscape of college football. Like, do they have the money to keep players if they get a star player, a Pac-Man Jones, a Pat White? Could they keep them away from LSU, Bama, Ohio State, Michigan? It's hard. But I don't think they could have done much better than what they had. They get a guy that's really passionate about that place, that loves that place. And at this point in time, he's got a big chip on his shoulder. So I'm excited to watch him. He had been at was it Jackson State or whatever, doing really well. I mean, the guy's a ball coach. And to me, he's a great example. Rich Rodriguez belongs in the southern region, right? Like the from West Virginia down over to Texas. Like he belongs in that area. Like West Virginia or going to Michigan, terrible fit. I actually think he would have been a decent fit at Alabama. They wouldn't have loved the offensive style, but they would have liked his personality, his toughness. Nick Saban's born and raised in West Virginia. Like I think Southern people usually excel. Like obviously they got to be a good coach, but Jim McElwain, West Coast guy, Florida hated him. Urban Meyer's an outlier. Urban Meyer could coach in Alaska, you'd win. Chip Kelly was a little bit of an outlier. Northeastern Oregon worked. But UCLA started getting weird. It's like, what's this? What's your deal here? Like, huh? Like, I always supported when I almost said James Gandolfini, but when what the hell's his name? Who's the coach of Rutgers right now? Schiano. And the Tennessee fans, remember like Clay Travis, and a bunch of people were like, Greg Schiano would have been a disaster at the University of Tennessee. It would have been a terrible personality fit. It would not have worked. Now, people were like, this was crazy. No, I was on board with the fan backlash. Would not have worked. Like when A&M was going to hire Stoops, that could work. Like I could see that happening. There are some where you're like, this is never going to happen. Lincoln Riley, USC. It's a weird fit. Another life question. Currently in my mid-20s and have been with my partner for 4 years. We have seen a lot of our friends and family tie the knot in the past 12 to 18 months, and I keep receiving skittish remarks from a lot of our relatives asking what's taking me so long to propose. I get that mine and her parents, I've done like 4 straight hours of podcasting right now. Mine and her parents want grandbabies, but I don't see what the rush is at all, given that we are both recent graduates, and I am looking to upgrade on my current basic job in banking to something a lot more similar. As someone who put their work first for a long time, what do you say? I would say 2 things. Unless they are paying, so you're not married, right? So unless they're paying for your wedding or going to provide child care for you, their opinions, you should not give a shit about what they say. I've said this forever, and this is where I try to judge other people on their relationships. Whoever you're sleeping with and you're in a relationship with, only you really know the ambitions, what you guys aspire to do, where you're at, what you guys are comfortable doing. Everyone else has a lot of opinions. But unless they're funding your life, paying for your rent, going to help pay for your wedding, honestly, I'd argue their opinions, like, I'm not saying not be cordial and nice and laugh it off, but I would not worry what they think at all. The only person you should be worried about are you and your future wife. And if you're not comfortable or ready to do that and she's not on board, then don't do it. Like, it's one thing, it's like, hey, her mom's all over us. They're going to give us some money for the wedding. She's going to babysit for us. Like, okay. It's like, I'd be open-minded to like, hey, you got help here. But if like, this is just their opinions and you're cutting all them checks and you got to figure out like, okay, we get married. Who's going to pay for this wedding? Then we're going to have a baby. Like we're both working. What are we going to do? It's complicated. They don't factor any of that in. So I'm very, very protective over like, don't worry about other people's opinions. And I know it's difficult, especially if you live around these people, but like, you got to worry about you and your future wife's happiness more than these other people because they have agendas. Like, part of being a grandparent, if I don't really have the babysit, is like, I just get to see the kid when I want. Like, I've been an uncle to my brother's kids. It's great. He's got to deal with their craziness on a daily basis. It's hard. You got a couple young boys who are going 99 miles an hour, 24/7, 365. I just get to fly in. We go swimming a little. We might hang out, screw around. Then when he gets in trouble, I don't have to deal with it. So that's how a lot of these people, giving their opinions to you, are. It's like you're in your mid-20s. Like, do not do something you're not comfortable with because someone else has that opinion. That's the easiest and quickest way to be miserable. Like, get married and have children or try to, because you want to do it, not because your aunt is giving you a hard time or you're jealous of what things look like on Instagram with other people. That will not lead to happiness. I promise you that. And don't wait forever if you want to marry her, but you're in your mid-20s, man. Life's expensive. It's easy for older people to have a lot of different opinions. My mom bought her house. We were talking about this when we were home for vacation. I was like, because my brother had the documents for like $75,000. She lives in a very nice area on a golf course. $75,000. She could get like 25x that now. Now, granted, it's a long time ago, but like the way they view things are a lot different sometimes. And I'm not. She was never hard on me, but she even had a comment. She's like, I'm glad everything worked out. That you waited this long. Like, I didn't wait this long. I just didn't meet anyone I want to marry. So it's like, you don't meet someone you want to marry. What are you gonna do? Just get married to say I'm married? It's like half the people I know get a divorce. I'm 40 years old. I could count. I wouldn't even be able to count on both hands. I'd run through it. I'd need my toes. The amount of people I know, either close friends, family members, acquaintances, that did not make it like 5 years that got married in their 30s. Because like some people get married for the wrong reasons. Looks cool on Instagram. It's like, well, do you like the person? And then having kids, many of you guys know this. They listen to me. It's like, that's a whole different dynamic. Why do you think people are hesitant to give Bo Nix credit for the season he just had? He walked into a tough situation. National media labeled him a major draft reach, and some said the pick could ruin Peyton's legacy. The team has been dealing with the largest dead cap hit in NFL history, had a bottom 3 roster according to PFF, and was projected to win 4 or 5 games. People like to give the majority of the credit to Sean, which is fair, but they also had to heap praise on the offensive line, the same offensive line that was heavily criticized when Russell Wilson was playing. Feels like people are bending over backward to avoid giving Nix his due and hold on to pre-draft narratives. People don't like being wrong. It's just that simple. And the easy thing was where everyone was piling on Bo Nix sucks. He wasn't good. He was not going to be a good player. The Broncos were going to suck. And it's hard to just say I was wrong. Bo Nix is actually pretty good. I just think it's very difficult for a lot of people in this quote unquote business to just be like, yeah, Bo Nix is a pretty good player. Was he perfect as a rookie? Of course not. Could he improve a lot? 100%. Does he need to improve? Yes. Would I bet on him improving, giving his coach and giving the team infrastructure? 1,000%. Like, I would be stunned if he's not good this year. Now, is he going to be Peyton Manning or Tom Brady? I don't know. But is he going to be a top 12 starter, 15 starter, half of the league for sure this year? Yes. Does he have a chance to be a top 10 quarterback in the league the next couple of years? I would say yeah. Based on who's coaching him, based on how well run the organization is now. He plays with a great defense, which is important. Remember, Tom Brady got to ease into his career. The defense was awesome. That helps. So yeah, I think they're going to be good. Congrats on your recent success. I have 2 boys myself and was able to name them after my 2 favorite athletes, Nolan Ryan and Grant Hill. Nolan and Grant, those are good names. Will the strategy come into play as you name your kiddo? I would say not athletically driven, but yeah, we've already named it. I don't know if I'm allowed to give it out yet, but name was pretty simple. It was more for me in terms of like family, friends, and other people in my life than it was, Michael Jordan Middlekauff, which would be sick. I threw that out the other day. I'm like, can we just name Michael Jordan Middlekauff? Here's my son, Tiger Middlekauff. This is Tiger. Tiger Woods? No, Tiger Middlekauff. Does he play golf? I mean, he got a set of clubs. I don't know if he knows what he's doing. Those would be my 2 options: Michael Jordan Middlekauff, uh, and Tiger Woods Middlekauff. Tiger. I mean, Tiger has a sweet name. It's like taking my son to 1st grade. This Tiger. Is Tiger here? When they read do they even do roll call anymore in school? I've lived in Colorado half of my life and Chicago half of my life. This year, my 2 teams look like playoff bound. I think the Bears are good at the offseason, still have bad ownership, and have a brand new head coach. Although I believe the hype, the Broncos feel like they're improved dramatically on the personnel side and already have the coach and ownership down. Also building off of what was a successful season last year. I saw Nick's tiers, and he had the Bears above the Broncos. I would guess you're talking Nick Wright. There's no way you can have the Bears above the Broncos. It's impossible. They have a first-time head coach. The franchise has not been winning. They've had a great offseason. The two guards in the center, great moves. We do not know if they're going to be any good. We have thought they were going to be good time and time again. The Broncos are going to be good. They have a coach who resurrected the fucking Saints. Say what you want about Sean Payton. I know he pisses people off. If you told me Sean Payton was the head coach of the Bears, I'd say they're a lock playoff team this year. Ben Johnson might be good. It's way harder to be a head coach. I don't know. But I'm with you. I think the Broncos are going to be good. The Bears could be good. The Bears should win 10 games. But it's like, we'll see. A lot of pressure on the quarterback. A lot of pressure on a coach who a couple years ago was like scared to be a head coach. Maybe now he's good. I don't know. I could not have the Bears above the Broncos. That's insane to me. My question is this. Last question. Is it realistic to think there will be teams based in Europe full-time playing in the NFL or a separate league associated with the NFL? If not, do you think there will ever be enough talent worldwide to have a legitimate USA versus world game, what the NBA has considered the All-Star game? I would say no chance with the world versus the NFL. I mean, football's our sport. You know, in some of these other sports, tennis, golf, baseball, basketball, so many different countries play. Like, is Germany playing tackle football? Could you find tackle football in London? Are they playing tackle football in Mexico or Brazil? I doubt it, but I know for a fact they're all playing basketball. They're all playing golf. They're all, a large percentage of them are playing baseball, soccer. So I think no. I would say the world no. I think they're much more likely to just put the TV package over there than actually have teams over there. Could be wrong. I mean, you'd have to ask Raj and the new PGA commissioner Roll Lap. I'm sure they had conversations, but I think the television package to have a game 16 days a year, so basically starting week 2 through week 16 or 17, whatever equals, so every team does it. And I guess you could rotate. Some teams might play multiple games, but I have a package where I sell like Thursday Night Football for a huge stretch of the season that Netflix has the 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time kickoff, which I'm not looking forward to, but that's inevitable. Now, is there a team in Europe or multiple teams? As of sitting here right now, I would lean no, but yeah, I wouldn't put a lot of money on that. I do think it's a lock for the morning TV package. I do think the logistics make playing over there teams very, very difficult. And I do wonder now you could sell these franchises for, let's say, each 8 billion, but you're at the point, like, how many people have this much money? Like, how many humans are there that can afford? So even if you're like, okay, we're gonna have two teams over in London, 8 billion a pop. How many human beings want in on that? Maybe I'm underestimating even the small percentage of people that could afford that now with private equity. Maybe it's a little more feasible to have groups. It's not really how the NFL is operated, but I guess things change, especially with the money. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Big fan of you and Nick Wright. With both you guys being friends and business partners with Coward, do you have a personal working relationship with each other? I said I have his number. I know he's playing the World Series of Poker. I'm going to text him probably after this week to get him on the podcast sometimes. I've never met Nick. I don't think I've ever talked to him. I've been in a Super Bowl party. He was on the other side. A million people were there. I didn't say anything to him. But no, I don't have a relationship with him. I've never met him. Um, yeah, I mean, I've followed his career for a long time, but I don't know him personally. I've always one thing I respect, even if I disagree with your takes, even if I would say politically we're way different, just in general with any human being that's in this kind of world. If I think that you really like sports, because I think there's been a large percentage of people that have come into this business knowing I can just make money and bullshit my way. And I think it happens all the time. Like there are a handful of people that I know, like, this guy loves it. Like, ultimately, I got into this because I loved it. And like anything, you do it long enough, there are things about it you don't like as much as you once did. But like, I still love watching a football game. I still love watching like Alabama, Georgia, or, the Bills, Chiefs. Like, it still really gets my juices flowing. I love watching the Masters or the British Open. I even still really like, even though I don't watch basketball or baseball nearly like I did 10, 15, 20 years ago, like, I love watching a big NBA playoff game or a big March Madness game or the World Series when it's Yankees Dodgers. Like, that's just fucking, this is what I love to do. Watch, I'm a consumer first. And the one thing I've always respected about Nick, I feel like he really, really enjoys watching the games. And I think it's pretty clear there are a lot of people in this business that I don't think really do. I know Colin still like texts me all the time during football season. Like, can you believe this guy? What do you think of this guy? Like, I just know he loves watching football. You know, like I know when a USC's playing Michigan, like he's geeked up for that game. And I just think a lot of guys lose that. And sometimes if you're a beat writer or whatever, it's a different experience. But I really I get along, and I did when I worked in the Bay Area media. And trust me, the way I live my life is a lot different than the way these guys live their life. And I call these guys very close friends because like I know that they really like it. I love Tim Kawakami, who started the Athletic. Like, that guy just loves sports. He's good at his job. He's a great columnist. He's just good. I mean, he's someone I looked up to when I first got kind of in the business. Greg Papa, same thing. I mean, these guys love a big game. Like, they get up for it like when they were young. And anyone who can kind of keep that fire, I'm regardless of whether I agree with your takes or whether if it wasn't for sports, we'd be friends and get along and hang out in real life. We're going to get along. And I've met a lot of people in this business that I can just get along with because of our love of the actual games, which I think sometimes in this world can get lost.